Hey there, Ethan here. This week on the channel, the topic is how we as trans people navigate the LGBT community at large, I guess. Um, so you get to hear about me talk about my strange experiences as an undergrad. So initially, I wanted nothing to do with the LGBT community in general, or I guess, yeah, the community at large. I guess like most people or most trans people starting out, we go on the internet. And when I went on the internet and read things that were being said on the blogs and the forums, I quickly realized that like trans people were still facing a lot of discrimination and like marginalization within the community itself. Um, so it taught me to be cautious and wary of the other groups within the community. The internet also taught me to view trans mostly as a psychiatric diagnosis. I didn't find too much information about viewing or framing trans as anything else. So I kind of just figured if this is the majority um, view, then it must be it, right? Just like the consensus or that this is a medical problem. And I didn't necessarily agree with it, but I didn't really see an alternative, so I didn't disagree with it, I guess. I just kind of took it and figured I would use it to my best of my ability, I guess. I don't know, or however useful it could be to me. Um, and at that point, because it was the beginning, I couldn't come up with any other narrative for myself yet because I was just starting out and I didn't know enough about being trans. So in the beginning, for me, there was no community. The only community I had was online forums, and because I didn't really participate in them, it really wasn't much of a community. It was just me searching up information. I guess the first instance of community for me would be meeting my first trans person. And it turned out that he was the community because he was the only out trans person on campus at the time. So then the trans community became us, just the two of us. Um, when I did meet him, uh, he became my link to the rest of the queer community at Rutgers because he would tell me which student groups to go to, which ones to avoid, who to talk to, like who would be receptive to like trans issues, who was knowledgeable about trans issues, and also uh, he also told me which staff and administrative members to connect to, and so on. So in a weird way, when he told me to join the gender identity task force with him, um, that became my first community. So it was him and like a bunch of staff and administrators, oddly enough. Um, and in a weird way, that would color the rest of my interactions with the community at Rutgers. Um, I never really found myself feeling like I belonged in the queer community. I don't know. I guess it's partially because I started out with the administrators, and then the reason I connected with the other students is because I was doing work with different offices and departments. Um, Another problem, I guess, was that there really weren't that many API students that were out in the queer community. So there were very few people that looked like me. um, and then on top of that, uh, the queer community is a very loud community. I'm not a loud person. Like, I'm kind of an introvert. A lot of my behavior is very conservative, I guess. Yeah, like mannerisms. My personality is very down to earth. Like all my radicalness is like in my theories and my thoughts and my opinions. So like, while I can appreciate the rest of the community being loud and like angry and stuff, and sometimes I participate in that. For the most part, I am not a loud and angry person. um, so I always found myself kind of on the outskirts of the community. Like even when I went to student groups, like the people I would hang around with tended to be um, not so much the general body members, but more like keyboard, I guess, or like the leaders in groups. And I find that that's because I find it it's probably because I can't talk today. Um, that I identify with their need to take care of other people. Like when you're on like the keyboard or when you're a leader in a group, you strive to care for your, I guess, organization. And I guess I could relate to that drive, that sense of purpose. And these people tend to be, incredibly intelligent people, and like I would love talking to them. Um, and I find that as a trans person, like, or as a person in general, that's how I find most of my community or sense of belonging. It's less about me um, attaching myself to groups that share an identity with me, um, but more about me attaching myself to groups that share some sort of common goal or passion. Um, so, like, going through undergrad, I found the most acceptance um, with my fellow psych TAs um, because we all wanted to be therapists. So that was like my primary identity, and it still is kind of my primary identity. After that would be either like the leadership cabinet, the Asian American leadership cabinet, where we bonded over trying to bring social justice education to a largely apathetic Asian American community at Rutgers, or even I guess karate class, and that's like not Rutgers related at all. Um, and these groups tended not to be the most knowledgeable about LGBT issues or trans issues, even less about trans issues, I guess. But I felt like I belonged because we strove for a common goal. And in a weird way, I guess that's how I find community. Um, I mean, that's not to say that I might not be able to find that with another LGBT community. It's just that, I guess, in my case, around Rutgers, I've always just kind of been in the edge of it, the outskirts of it. Uh, so, yeah, I mean, looking for a sense of home is a big deal. That support is a big deal. That sense of community is a big deal. Um, I've never really found it um, at the queer community at Rutgers. They're really nice people. It's just I don't feel like I belong. Um, and to this day, I feel like there are only two spheres that I entered. I feel like I immediately belong, and the first would be psychology. I mean, granted, there's a lot of crap in psychology as a field. Well, at least I consider it crap. Um, but I love it so much that I don't care that I'm in a minority perspective or minority group. Um, and then the other would be martial arts. Like I can walk into a martial arts school and pretty much be comfortable. Um, so yeah, besides the community, well, besides the queer community at Rutgers, I haven't really had much contact with other um, queer communities, so I wouldn't know what it's like out there. Um, so until I do that, I guess these are all my thoughts. So I guess until next time, later.